let's talk about Chourio before we do quick prospects, and then we'll take a break. As you mentioned, coming into the season, this was the Brewers' story. They guaranteed all this money to this kid that had never played in the big leagues. Of course, he's one of the top prospects in baseball, but you never know what you're going to get. And for the first couple months, he wasn't horrible. Like he had some rough stretches, but again, we've seen even worse from other rookies, over early parts of their season. Like he was treading water. It wasn't pretty, but for the youngest player in baseball, it was like, you know what? This is fine. And because they were winning, we weren't worried about it. There wasn't any sort of like, you tell me, maybe, I don't know if there was like, oh, we got to send him down, whatever. But like, it seemed like it was like, when I watched, I was like, okay, this isn't great, but he's batting 8th, he's batting 9th, he's figuring it out. He's born in 2004, whatever, right? And then at some point in like late June, I want to say, maybe a little bit before then, it just clicks. So my main Chourio question is, was it obvious when he figured it out? Did he talk about what he figured out and what changed? And are we ultimately underrating the fact that they now have one of the 20, 30 best players in baseball, at least as of the last couple of months, and how much of a difference that has made, not just to mention what it's done with Yelich out?
Yeah. For me, and this is a little bit of benefit of hindsight, but there was a game like June 2nd or June 3rd in Detroit where the Tigers specifically they wanted to face Chourio. They brought in an arm for that spot, like the tie game in like the 6th inning. And all year long, the Brewers have pinch hit for him in those spots. They got some lefties on the bench. Jake Bowers or someone would be the guy. They stuck with him, and he had a couple like better at bats in recent days. Had homered a couple days before, and he lines it double to the gap. Brewers take the lead. They win the game. Like that moment stood out to me. And it probably stands out now because, well, he hasn't made it out the rest of the way.
Yeah. I mean, that is basically when you look at the splits, he homers against the White Sox on June 2nd, but then that series in Detroit was shortly after that. And yeah, I mean, he's just turned it on. And while we've texted a little bit about this, I think one of the things when we talked about Chourio as this exciting prospect was like, oh, he's this power speed center fielder. And he's barely played center field. And I know the defense, there's a lot of some discrepancies about how good some people say he's not been a good defender. Some of the metrics say he has been a good defender. None of that really matters at this point when he's hitting the way that he is. But as far as long-term prospects, whether he's going to be a center fielder or not, that is sort of interesting as far as how we evaluate his long-term future. But the point is right now, the way that he's hitting is remarkable. I mean, it's just, it is, and how would you describe, because it's not like he's hitting the ball, 120 off the bat, but he is hitting it all over the place. And his contact ability is very interesting.
He is now plus across the board.
Yeah.
And he can do damage on a variety of pitches, and especially like damage pitches. If you make a mistake to him, he's 20 years old and he punishes it. He stopped chasing for a large percentage of the time. Like that was his big issue early on, and like so it's not huge adjustments really that have led to this, but sometimes like with super talented guys, it's just
a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Like and of course he's still chasing a decent amount, but he's not striking out that much, right? I mean, it's still an above average strikeout rate, or whatever, better than whatever, you know what I mean? It's only 20%, which is below the league average. And yeah, man, and he's whatever, he's running, he's got his 97th percentile sprint speed. Like he's clearly impacting the game in so many ways.